Hi there guys, Mr. Chorlton here again. Welcome Mr. Browncells class who joined us as well today. Um, don't worry guys, I've not lost the plot. I'm just thinking it would make much more sense for me to record myself over this to give you a little bit more insight as to what you're doing and what you need to do and give you more of insight into the topic. What was it me and Mr. Browncells are suggesting is that you get hold of a notepad or an exercise book if you've managed to take them home, or some sheets of paper. Keep them all in the same place. You can keep it nice and organised, and then we don't lose any time. And when we come back to school, we can recap a few things, and we can keep the ball rolling, and we can keep moving. So really keep yourself organised, guys, and that will really help you out. So today we're looking at training methods. Okay, your hook for today is really simply just have a look at these photos, see if you can work out what they mean and what they stand for. So this guy, for the record, I think that's Val Kilmer. Mr. Brownsell made this slide, so he's a little bit older than me. So have a look and see if you can work them out. I will give you guys, I don't know, about 10 seconds. Off you go. Okay, so you might have worked out by now, hopefully, that this one is, well, that's FC Inter Milan in Italy, so interval, interval training. If you couldn't work it out, this guy's a con, and that's a tin, and that's the US, so continuous. This one's fartlek, if you hadn't managed to work that one out already, and this is actually a circuit board from a computer, I believe, so that one stands for circuit training. There are two more that aren't on here, but we'll get to them later. So, to understand the different methods of training in sport, have a look at the video. So click on the green symbol at the bottom there. It's a link to a YouTube video. I think, strangely, it's another PE teacher who's created this video and has put it on there. They've put some questions on for you to think about. You don't really need to write it down if you don't want to. You feel free to do so. But just have a think about the questions that he's asking, and remember that for some of them there's no exact answer. So it's not set in stone. For some of the questions the answers are, for some they're not. So click on that and then come back to me on the next slide. Okay, so we're going to go through today each method of training. I'm going to explain them quickly. You guys can make notes on these. I would recommend you doing that because, let's be honest, it's good revision practice anyway, and you can keep these for your revision for whenever the next progress test might be. So we're looking at interval training first. So this involves a period of intense work followed by a period of rest. So the example we've given you here is a sprint for 20 meters and then a walk back to the start, and then you do that again, I don't know, about 10 times, let's say, and then maybe move on to something else. You'll notice here that the rest isn't always just standing still. In fact, it's rarely standing still. So it could be anything. If you were swimming, it might be 100 meters as fast as you can, and then 25 meters slow and steady, and then another 100 meters, and it might go from there. Some of you who are runners, you might have come across this a lot, and we'll go on to what this is really good for on the next slide. But just really quickly, along with your notes, just have a think what athletes would benefit from this. The pictures will give you some clues, but try and think about outside the box as well. Try and think of some invasion games, for example, football. Can we be a bit more specific into what position might benefit from this training method? Okay, so like it says here, lactic acid builds up during interval training, so we know that that comes from anaerobic training. So, sorry, anaerobic respiration, should I say. So that sort of gives us a clue as to how hard you should be working in your sessions here. Because anaerobic training is between 80 to 90% of our maximum heart rate. So that suggests we should be really, really going for it. And because we're really going for it, we don't have time to use the oxygen. So because we don't have time to use that oxygen, we need to use the anaerobic respiration equation, which is simply glucose gives us energy, and the waste product is lactic acid. It's simple as that. So that lactic acid stays around in our muscles, and that is what causes us pain quite a lot of the time if we've been working quite hard. The rest phase gives us a recovery from this a little, gives us time to oxidize that lactic acid to get rid of it, and then that allows us to work just as hard again after the rest phase. Obviously, the more the interval training goes on, the harder it is for that body to recover. Okay, so have a look at the example there, answer some of the questions alongside your notes, and meet me on the next slide. Okay, so using the principles of training, we can also look at how this intensity can be increased. So the rest time could be decreased, you could run for a little bit longer, but obviously not too long because it will take the intensity away. You could add a bit of equipment, a bit of added weight to it, or a bit of resistance. And you guys are dead creative, so I bet you could think of loads of other ways that you could improve that as well, so increase the intensity as well. Okay guys, so what we also need to look at for the exam is the advantages and disadvantages of each method of training. So we're going to have a quick look at these just to see, but obviously these aren't necessarily set in stone. These are the most obvious ones, but you can also think of your own as well. If you're sure that they are an advantage or a disadvantage, you guys should back yourselves. You guys come up with really, really good examples all the time. So feel free to think outside of the box that I've given you and have a real think. But one advantage to interval training is that it's quick and easy to set up. You can just, particularly if you're running, which is an interval runners use interval training quite a lot. So all you need is put your trainers on and warm up, which is essential for interval training, and then you start your interval training session. Another advantage is that it mixes aerobic and anaerobic exercise. So the sprinting bit is the anaerobic bit of the session, but the rest phase, where you may be just jogging back, is aerobic as well. So it replicates both, and that means it replicates a game. So for example, if you think about a winger in football, sorry, I keep going to football because that's what I play. A winger in football would need to sprint up and down that line, so they'll sprint to the byline to chase the ball, but once their team's lost possession or something else has happened, they'll probably walk or jog back to around about the halfway line. Maybe they might jog to keep hold of an opponent marking them, and then they might sprint again, so it sort of replicates that in training. The disadvantages is when you start to fatigue, technique starts to go, which means you might get injured, and it is really hard to keep going. So if you're too tired, the actual benefits you're going to get out of the session start to decrease, because if you're tired, you're not going to be able to work as hard. Another disadvantage is this principal training that comes in, so tedium, it can become boring. So if you're doing the same thing over and over, it is going to start to get a little boring, isn't it? If you're just doing the same thing over and over again. Okay. There will be others there, like I said, so have a think and see if you can note any down. Okay, guys, so we're looking at continuous training here. So continuous training is really simple. It's just a method of training that you keep at a steady pace for a sort of medium amount of intensity, and it lasts for, it says at least 30 minutes there. 20 minutes is also acceptable as well. But for more elite athletes, you're looking for probably well over 40 minutes to get any benefit out of it. But most people can get the benefit out of it after about 20 minutes of continuous training. So this could be anything really, any exercise you think of to be continuous. The main ones though were running, walking, swimming, rowing, cycling. There are other ones as well, but they're probably the main ones. Okay, so have a look at these questions here, and then meet me on the next slide after you've made those notes. Okay, so let's have a look at the advantages and disadvantages. You might have worked some out for yourself, make sure you note these down. So this one is really effective for long distance athletes because it's very specific. So they hear that word again, specific to principle of training. Yeah, so it's really specific. For example, for marathon runners, they will go out there, get the trainers on, and they'll just go and run because they need to get that distance in so that they're ready for their event, so that they're used to it. A cyclist will do the same thing. They'll go out on a 200-kilometer bike ride, the elite people, just to get that distance in. They'll do other sessions as well, don't get me wrong, but this one is key for them. Another advantage, it needs only a small amount of equipment. It's great for aerobic fitness, and it's actually good for losing weight as well, although I'll be careful about using that as an example for an elite performer, although you could link it to the lighter you are on a bike, to be fair, the easier it is to push you. But it's really good for fat burning because it uses a lot of the glucose that you've been eating and can burn quite a lot of calories. Disadvantage is, in my opinion, it's probably the most boring method of training you can use, because you just run and just keep going, or you just buy and keep going. It's quite repetitive, and because it's a long amount of time, you've really got to put the time in to get the benefits out of it. It doesn't improve anaerobic fitness, so it's not amazing for team games like football or hockey, but it is still useful. Back in the day, in pre-season sessions in football, loads of managers used to take their teams for runs in the woods and stuff like that, and runs down just anywhere around a track. But now the science is saying now that the more science in football is saying actually it's not the best one to use it because it doesn't replicate the game. It's still good, it still helps the heart get stronger, helps it pump more. It's still a really useful tool, but it's not great for invasion games like that. Okay, fartlek training. So, strange name. It actually means speed play in Swedish. And if you were to work around those words, to play around with your speed is what it means. That's how it's translated. So if you were to play with your speed, you're changing it up. You're using different speeds at different times. The idea behind fartlek training is that there's no specific, you don't really have to stick to anything specifically. You could go out and just put your trainers on, go for a run, warm up, and then go, right, that lamppost that's in front of me, I'm going to sprint from that lamppost to that bus stop. And then when I get to the bus stop, I'm going to walk for, I don't know, 10 metres, and then I'm going to start jogging again until I get to the traffic lights I can see in the distance. And then when I get there, I'm going to have another sprint again to another lamppost. It can be like that. What you also need to remember is that you do it over different terrains. So those of you that play Minecraft, you'll know that what terrain is. It's like different types of ground. So you could be running on sand, grass, concrete, AstroTurf, 3G, a running track. So you try to vary the types of ground that you're running on. Something else as well that you need to remember is that different type of ground could also be a hill. So this could be running uphill, running downhill. That needs to also you need to remember that is also another type of ground. So you could also do it a little bit more specifically. So if you see the example here, so you could do 1 lap at 50% max. You could also do 1 lap walking and 1 lap at 80%. That's still playing around with speed. It looks a little bit more like in interval training there, but it is different speed, so it's still fartlek training. What's so good about this one is, and a load of runners swear by this one as well, is that it's good for both aerobic fitness and anaerobic fitness as well, because of the varying intensities. So you've got that sprinting in there, which helps your anaerobic fitness, and you've got the jogging or just normal running in there, which is where you get your aerobic. So it's both. So have a think, what type of athletes or performers would you use? The picture really gives a clue. And think about what I've just said about continuous and as a disadvantage in the last slide. Okay, so like I asked you to have a think about, it's really good for people such as footballers or hockey players or netballers or rugby players, because it matches the jogging, sprinting, at different intensities. Because in a football game, you're not going to sprint for exactly 20 seconds like within an interval training session. It could go the distance of 20 meters, or it could be a 50-meter sprint. You don't know. And there's a different terrain as well. Okay, so let's have a look at the advantages and disadvantages. So, the advantages is good for sports which require changes in speed, like we just said. It can be easily adapted to suit individuals' levels. So if you're a beginner, you might do more walking or a little bit more jogging and less sprinting. If you are a pro, you might get more sprinting there, very little walking, and obviously the jogging as well. You might get a lot of hill work in there as well. The disadvantages is because you don't actually have to sort of write down and specify what you're going to do, like interval training. If you're tired or you're lazy or for whatever reason, you might just skip the hard bits. And also, it's difficult to see how hard someone's training unless you're wearing a heart rate monitor, because that person could be cheating, like I said in the last bullet point as well. So it's also a little bit harder. Another disadvantage is it's a little bit harder to work out how far you've sprinted, how far you've jogged. It's hard to work that out. So in terms of recording your training sessions, it's a little bit harder as well.